safety fund?
Yes.
Why the truck was over $1,000 more?
Well, it's a state bid that, the Acres Automotive did come on state bid with that, and basically we're gonna be hauling trailers and stuff, so I thought that would be,
They all have that good business.
how do you see the Palmer?
It's federal law right now.
So either way, it doesn't matter, but that's the only reason I can see it on there. So I can go either bid, it really doesn't matter.
Last Friday.
Is that the only reason why you chose that over the other one?
Yes, that's the only reason, because I never seen one before had a backup camera, so.
Kevin says it has a camera.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter, then that would be fine. to go
It's
sell them.
federal law since 2018. But you ever got
You're our resident expert.
What year is the truck?
I've got mine.
Yeah, 2000.
The new truck. Oh.
They got any more questions? Not, I'll make a motion. Motion to approve. The Ford, $33,039.13.
No discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
the record, I'd say.
Okay, I also have something else. One of our weather SARN is down on Freeland Road, Montgomery Road. I am in the process right now of getting bids on it to see about repairing it. I do not know yet anything about it as far as the city does own it. So when I get more information, I'll be getting with you on that. Okay, we'll have to do replacement. See what kind of monies we can find to do it. I do not have money budgeted for weather SARNs.
Just curious, how much are those?
Well, I'd say probably anything from $15,000 to $20,000. That's just, when I get that information, I'll pass it on. Right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do it like we used to. We'll send an engine to that area when we have severe weather. So hopefully, they will send their SARN to help notify the people in that area. This is out on Bond Ord. Thank you.
Okay. On Main, Lincoln Street.
You have good news, right?
Good evening. Well, I really don't want to say a lot because that's Daryl's Board of Works presentation to you this evening, and I don't want to steal everything. Brenda kind of took half of it, so.
I yield my time.
I think we have good news. We have talked for some time about the idea that asphalt plants would open the 1st of April. And by the way, today is the 1st of April. Asphalt plants opened in the sense that, well, I don't know this, I guess. We were told that they would be firing up their plants today. It takes about a week to get heat in the plants and to produce the material, make sure everything's working right. So the schedule is to have asphalt a week from today, the 8th of April. And my standard disclaimer, that's weather dependent. We've had a couple of cool days over the weekend, that's not overly helpful. And April is probably the rainiest month of the year, so that's not overly helpful, but we're still remain optimistic. We met and went through with the contractors recently what's left to be done. We had a list of 10 to 14 items, of which 3 or 4 have already been cleaned up. We've had some activity on the site pretty much every day last week. We've got a lot of the dirt in. It's not graded out yet, finalized with the topsoil. Most of it's in place. We have, now, when I say pavement, there's a little bit of preparatory pavement before we get to the actual surface. We've got some trenches that we cut across the street for storm drains, and the northeast quadrant of that last block between Hendricks and Walnut, the concrete was unexpectedly high for some reason, so we're going to remove all of that concrete, that quarter block. So we have that work to do. We are scheduled for Thursday to have a milling machine come in and take the top of the concrete off where it's a little bit too high and to straighten that up. So probably, if things go well, Monday and Tuesday will be spent doing what we refer to as full depth patching to get everything ready for the surface. Putting the surface on will likely take about 2 days. So towards the end of next week, with some luck and some good weather, we hope to have the paving pretty well finished. One of the steps in the paving operation, we now use a joint seal system for the longitudinal joint between the 2 lays. In the highway industry, we've learned that's an area of early deterioration, so we're trying to improve that. A part of that system is a fog seal that is sprayed over the top of that joint. Before we can put down pavement markings, there's a 5-day waiting period. So we're hopeful by the middle, end of April, we should be done and be out of there. At which time we will reopen Lincoln Street. However, as things stand currently, we will not open the east side of Central until the end of the school year. The school has developed a very workable parent pickup drop-off system that utilizes Central, and rather than disrupt within maybe about a month at the end of the school year, I think it'd be prudent to wait until that and allow the summer break period to re-educate the users of that into the old way, Central and North being the one-way pair that they are. But don't forget, Darrell.
I think you got it all.
I expect a good report.
Okay, I'll let you down.
Do we want to talk about what the state's doing also?
Yep.
Not on the agenda per se, but NDOT is starting some projects here. The first one is, it's not actually in the city, it's on State Road 3, about halfway between Interstate Route 74 and North Decatur High School. The city has some involvement because of utilities. We have a water line and a sewer force main that runs along the side of that structure that we actually are working literally today to move over so it's out of the way of that work. That work will be accomplished with a temporary traffic signal and 1 lane of travel through there. So there will be some delays, but you will be able to get through there. The big project for NDOT this summer also started today. That is the rehabilitation of State Road 3 and the bypass from the western junction, the west intersection of State Road 46 and 3, all the way through the 4-lane section just north of I-74. They are going to either, in some areas, to overlay with asphalt, and some areas of the old original concrete pavement south of Michigan down to the Muddy Fork bridges. They're going to rubblize the old concrete and build new pavement on top of that. In order to accomplish all that, they've started today working on the shoulders on the southbound lanes. In the next couple of weeks, they're going to put all of the traffic on the 2 southbound lanes so they can work on the northbound lanes. Sometime in the middle of the summer, they'll put traffic back over and do the opposite. Also in that contract is some paving work on North Michigan Avenue from the bypass north to the I-74 interchange. And they're going to rehabilitate the pavement in that section. And then it just kind of threw everything into this contract. There's some bridge deck overlays. There's what they call a thin overlay on the I-74, State Road 3 bypass over I-74. Those bridges that were worked on a couple of years ago. This is a preventative maintenance thing to do. And also the bridge is over Muddy Fork, down just north of Main Street, and then one up at St. Paul is also in that contract. And then finally, they have let the Main Street small structure replacement that was let in March. Unfortunately, that contract has like 195 days on it for utility relocation work. So the state is indicating that the contractor will probably not start working on that project until next spring, and it's scheduled to be completed next fall. I think the road closure time is 60 to 90 days to close the road.
Which one's that?
Sorry.
Which one's that?
Paper, Main Street over Gas Creek.
Oh, so it's not gonna be.
It appears that the structure itself will not be worked on this summer. It is under contract, that's the good news.
The bridge.
Yes. I'll explain that. We don't use bridge for something smaller than what even I would use, but everybody else uses bridge.
But they do, yeah, you don't know that's right, but it comes through there in the street, you know, it's sort of like driving on narrow roads with some sure, it's kind of like driving on the moon. When you get, they're like on Carver, trying to get on through. Do they go down a little bit?
They will. And in fact, there will be some
You know what I'm talking about,
periods,
Absolutely.
there will be some periods where Carver and Broadway and Lincoln and Freeland in Michigan will be closed for short periods, maybe a week each. Not at the same time, but in order to do the work that they have in there, it just, to address, I think the issue you're talking about, is going to be their work, so.
Did he provide you any timing for the State Road 3 bypass project?
I'm sorry?
Did it provide you any timing for the project and bypass?
It-
For the best equipment all went over 74?
It is literally started today, and I think their contract completion date is the end of September. That's not the contract completion date. Their work is to be done by the end of September of this year. Most of the time, traffic will move through there. There will be some times where you have to.
It's almost 2 years.
No, that's not what we're getting from INDOT directly in a contractor. In fact, we met in their progress meeting today, and I'm reasonably confident they'll be out of there in the construction season. There may be a little work. Erosion control with bees, grass growing is a big issue now, and so they allow extra time. The contract doesn't end until next spring, but that's to assure that the grass is growing at an adequate rate. So the actual construction is supposed to be done this fall. Other questions?
Kathy. And Chief Bridges.
I'm not sure what we're talking about, other than abandoned vehicles. I think this is some stuff Kathy has received through City Hall, so I will let her start and go from there.
For the past few months, we've received complaints about junk, and along with that, there seems to be an overabundance of abandoned vehicles, or I should say unoperable vehicles or unlicensed vehicles. And our ordinance is kind of vague in some areas, and so we just, what you have in front of you is a copy of the City of Franklin's ordinance. And it just kind of spells out, and it has a better definition than what ours states on what an abandoned vehicle consists of. So we would just like to tweak our ordinance in some areas. And then the one area I kind of like that they outline, and Brendan does as well, is demolition derby cars. It spells it out how long they are allowed to have them sitting on their property, and there's just a short window, that's only around our fair time. But for the most part, we just want to go through and kind of tweak it, but I found this ordinance, there was a couple others that I looked at, but this one kind of, the simplicities of it and the fact that it basically spelled everything out, still goes by Indiana code like they need to, but they have to, but still there's sections of it that spells it out better than what our ordinance does. And next month, we'd like to bring forward to you possibly a proposed ordinance amending our existing abandoned vehicle ordinance. And Brendan can probably give you the better criteria of what has to be done, and as far as tagging a vehicle, that would still go through the police department. I contact him not frequently, but enough on vehicles that people contact our office or the mayor's office on this situation, so.
Just normally, like I said, when we get a call, if it's on public roadway, normally is 72 hours and then we tow. If it is on private drive, or private property, pretty much defined as if it can be seen from a public roadway, you have 20 days to remove it, or it will be towed. The biggest thing that like I said, I would like to put in is about license plates, and kind of spell it out that to where they have to be updated license plates to be on the roadway. And then the other big one is currently it states that if your vehicle is left on the roadway more than 72 hours, that it can be tagged and towed. I think that maybe we need to look at if it is, everything is current on there. I do think that we need to look at maybe extending that time period a little bit because of people taking vacations. I don't want to be towing vehicles, like I said, if somebody's on an extended vacation. So just looking at a couple things, and like I said, derby cars, again, that's always been something we've looked at for 5+ years on what do we do with derby cars. And again, I think what Kathy found with the Franklin would do us a lot of good in that, so.
Is there any limit on the number of cars that you can park in the car in the city?
And the thing is, as long as they're operable and they can be moved, then there's not much we can do on it, so.
Have 3 dump trucks, RVs, everything in your front yard.
And if it's running,
In a residential neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're bringing it to you next week, or next month, on there. Okay. Okay, it's down to me, and basically we're gonna talk about stellar projects. The projects we're doing right now is the squirt pad. It is planned to be put in April 15th, out there at Rebecca Park. We had funds received from Delta Faucet to put the pad in, so that is going in all out there. also, we got permission from the nursing home to proceed with the drainage project on the soccer fields or the green space, basically park, green space on the park area will now start being leveled out there by the high school. So that project's going on. We also have the project in May, or we're looking at putting the amphitheater in at Rebecca Park with funds that we received from David, who we received stuff from. And so on the amphitheater. So, and that's where we're at. And then we got the project down in the square, which has been a stellar project. And we've got a $600,000 grant for the project. And so that's where we're at. We're starting at the end of this month, the middle of the month, to start that sidewalk project. This is another one of the stellar projects, and we got that $600,000 grant, and the edit funds will be used to fix that, or to pay the difference in percentage on there. So, any questions?
That's the City County Park Department.
The squirt pad? Yeah.
How much did we set aside for that?
250,000. I knew that some of you asked the question that did we bring the design to the council? We did not bring the design to the council. We had the design drawn up, the 6 members, chamber, EDC, tourism, Main Street, and Decatur County Foundation were the people that we've set with the last 2 years doing different projects and setting up projects for the Stellar. So, but no, we didn't bring any designs to you. We showed pictures in the past of different things and what we've been trying to do for the project. So I just kind of wanted to let you know that that's what's going on. Okay? Any questions? Okay. We will have a special Board of Works meeting on April the 9th at 6 p.m. Water Board, I'm sorry, Water Board. Water Board to open bids for the water plant. So that you may want to be here for that project. Also, City Hall will be closed on Good Friday, April the 19th. I got that right. Okay, also, this is Safe Digging Month for 811. So that is the project that, this is their monthly project to remind everyone, if you're gonna, before you dig, you need to make sure you, 2 days before you dig, you need to get a hold of them and call 811. So that's what that is. Okay.
You said heavy trash pickup is that in May?
May? May,
15th to 19th.
yes.
Is that what it is?
13th to the 17th.
13, and we'll have it posted on the garbage truck going around. So there'll be a big sign on the side of it like we did last year to let everyone know that's going on. Okay? So those are a couple big things going on now. Mr. Poland.
Joe Pratt from the library came to Board of Works asking for permission to close the streets at
for the Touch a Truck event. That will be on the 26th of April. Jeff Smith, we opened quotes for the Sand Creek, the main under Sand Creek, that will run from Edgewood Acres to the sewer plant. 2 bids were submitted, one for $113,525, the other one for $79,861. Those bids were taken under advisement, are being looked at. Mark Foster Kemper asked for permission to dispose of a 1995 S700 Ford that has no real value, so we voted to salvage that, send it for salvage. Chief Bridges came and talked to us basically what he just shared with the council. Also, we gave him permission to purchase cargo drawers for the SUVs, $1,410 a piece. For 8 of those, $11,280. Ron May gave the report that he gave here, and Washington Township Fire Department contract was approved. Christian Rust wrote that to the board. Kathy Reynolds talked to us about a new software program that they purchased for the planning office that will kind of bring us into the 21st century. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, council? Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.